successes for new people getting into aquariums?
Okay, so basically what the people getting into aquariums have to realise is that, number one, you need the right equipment for the species you're trying to keep, and you need the right advice. So basically, I tell my customers, look, do whatever you want, like learn as much as you want, but come in and see us. Don't go doing stuff that we haven't told you to do, because you can't put Ford parts in a Holden. So everyone has got their own way of doing things, right? But if I'm going to be your primary educator, just hit me up with an email, have a chat with me, make sure that what you're doing is in line with the way we do things, because everyone's got their own sort of system, and there's more than one way to skin a cat, you know what I mean? Like, I've got my ways that I run a reef aquarium. And if you try what someone else did, maybe in their system that sort of works. But I think you need to find an advisor that, number one, you trust, and number two, you think actually gives a shit. Someone that cares about you, someone that actually wants you to thrive. So I think building a relationship with the correct aquarist, someone that cares and someone that knows. And I think beginners have got to get that fish don't just die. Your corals, they don't just die. They only die for a reason. And you got to be in that mind of understanding the reason. And then telling beginners too to watch their fish actively. So what I mean is, don't just watch it swim around. Watch it with wonder. Wonder what it's doing. Wonder why it's doing it. And then try to understand, why is it doing that? And then sometimes learning more about the species, that's why he's doing that. You can start learning about the wild relevance for various aquarium behaviours, for example. And the more you learn, the more you enjoy. So I always, when I get a new customer, I'll often send them my hints email, which I'm more than happy to do for anyone. If someone emails me at Majestic Aquariums, I can send them my hints email. I've got one for ponds, one for tropical aquariums, one for cichlid aquariums, and one for reef aquariums. And that has the seminar. It has a series of videos. It has the actual DVDs. And then there's lighting. There's a video all about lighting. Fertilizer, a video all about fertilization. So if you make learning enjoyable and you make learning easy and you find someone you trust, then I think that I think fish keeping is really, really easy. But it's really a matter of either creating an environment that's right for the species you want, or it's a matter of getting species that are right for the environment you have.
Yeah.
So there's two ways of looking at it. And you can't win them all. No. So I think beginners have got to realise that keeping fish can be very, very, very easy. Like, I've got tanks that I've hardly touched in a year, and they're thriving. But you need good quality food, you need good quality water. And if you enjoy learning, and you create a format that allows you to be interested in learning, then I think it's a wonderful hobby. And I think you've got to share your hobby. I don't think this is a hobby that you just sit in there and just look at your fish. I think you need to build your own. Like, for example, at school, this is not a lie, right? There was the basketball players, there was the football dudes, there was the behind there smoking dudes, there was the library nerds, and the fish guys. We were a recognised group. Like, we actually had a little group of people, and at lunchtime we talked about fish. Like, we were the fish nerds, but to us we were the fish cool dudes.
I've sponsored a few fish tanks in science departments in high schools.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I've done a lot.
I've discovered some schools have actually got fish clubs established in them, which I found immense.
Awesome. Yeah, so beginners surrounding themselves with other people that like fish, and just keep learning. And don't go thinking learning's hard. Learning's fun, especially with YouTube, and you find some great channels, and watch. You might be inspired by one of Joey's channels. You might learn something from one of my channels. And don't think it's hard. Like, don't go into this world where it's hard. Oh, I have to clean the glass. Well, get a catfish, you idiot. Like there's an easy way of doing everything. And the more you learn, the more you are rewarded, and the more you enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the more in depth and more involved you get into it, that's where magic really begins to happen.
It can be as complicated as you want it to be. Basically.
Yeah, that's right. So you can make. Some of the people that got all the gear with no idea. Like, I get some customers that come in and they buy all the fancy stuff, but they just don't have a damn clue what they're doing. Just because you've got a fancy skimmer, it doesn't mean it's tuned well and it's working. Like, understanding the basics and just enjoying that journey is absolutely everything. But the other thing is, you've just got to really aim to do it right the first time. Like, you've got to really understand that you're either very restricted by what you've got, or if you're going to buy a protein skimmer, get the best one you can. Don't buy a crap one. You end up with crap results. If you're going to buy fish food, don't buy crap fish food. There's a lot of crap fish food out there. Do a little bit of research. What is a good fish food?
So, what would you consider to be a crap food, or what are some of the
nearly all of them
things inside of it that make it crap food?
Okay, so once again, a lot of your fish food, if you actually Google the ingredients, a lot of it is either completely inappropriate for aquatic animals, or poisonous, or potentially poisonous. So most commercially available fish foods, and I'll be very unpopular by saying this, is just processed crap in a can. As I said, I am biased in every way, and biased before I had commercial interest, by the way, in Denichi and New Life Spectrum. So I'm not saying that they are the only fish foods that there are, but I am saying that they're almost like that. They're really a league of their own.
Yeah.
So once again, it's really a matter of you seeing what works for you too. So I can tell you now the difference between a good quality food and even with your New Life Spectrum, I'm probiotics all the way. I think that's a league of its own. And once again, you got to find what works for you. So for me, Denichi probiotics is my absolute go-to, and that's regardless of fish. So I will feed, like for example, Pablo Tabat from New Life Spectrum did a whole lot of research into what he puts in the fish versus what's he come out of the fish. And what he found was actually quite phenomenal, is that the ratio of what they actually absorb is pretty much the same. So, you think, oh, you need to feed a lionfish lots of protein. That's rubbish. A lionfish will process huge amounts of protein to try and extract the vitamins. And then they're like, oh, you need to feed a tang heaps of green stuffs. Well, no, you don't. Because the vitamins and so forth is abundant, so it just all comes out the other end, and they're grabbing for those little bits of protein. So also making sure your foods are not fully digestible is important. So like with your cheap flake food, it's all digested in the very first half. The rest of the digestive system's working on nothing. Whereas Denichi's got things like clay and so forth in it, which makes sure that the whole system is getting flushed out. So once again, I have absolute bias in every way for those two particular foods. But as far as you're concerned, it's really a matter of you picking a food and you looking at your own results. So you can go online and get heaps of reviews, but the other thing too you've got to remember is a lot of online is you can't believe everything you read. Because a lot of companies actually pay like someone in India or whatever to sit there and just on all different servers go and give it all, like you just can't trust everything. A lot of it you trust is your own. You either got to trust, get advice from somebody you trust and someone that cares to tell you the answer, or just try it. And if you're super happy with your fish and they're super healthy, and that's where Facebook's so great too, because a lot of my customers, they'll be like, oh, but my fish are perfect. I'm like, really? They take photos of them, and then they'll change to, say, Denichi, for example, and then they look at the photo from 2 months ago, and they go, shit, look how much better they are now. Like, photographs are great for that, because you don't notice that they're slowly getting better, but you look at the photo and go, wow, look at this photo. Do you know what I mean? It's really a big point.